All right, now we are going to break down figured bass. An often confusing topic with a very simple principle underlying it. Now, if you took Theory 1, we emphasized again and again what figured bass is. I got you ready for it, and you're ready for it, and here's what figured bass is. And that's all there is to it. The figures tell you the intervals above the bass. So let's look at how this works out when you have specific chords. Now, in your some of your drills right now, you're seeing seventh chords, and you're doing figures with seventh chords. But let's just look at the heart of the matter, or the foundation, which is within triads. Okay, let's go with F major triad with the treble clef. And so we've got an F, an A, and a C. You see that it's in root position. And the figures, so let's say we're in the key of F. So it's a 1 chord. The root is F. Now, the figures are this third and this fifth. So if you wanted to use figures to describe a root position chord, you would use 5/3. Okay, now the next inversion, so if I take this F and I move it up here, now I have a first inversion triad. It's still an F chord, because the F, if I were to lower it and put it into this format, F would still be the bottom of the snowman. But as far as getting the figures together, there's still a third and a sixth. And so for a root position triad, I write 1, 6, 3. Now it happens that in the tradition of Baroque organists, from which we get this nomenclature, they got tired of writing the 3. So those are the same. 1, 6, 1, 6, 3. Now, over time, you're going to remember that, it's still 1, 6, 3, but we take away the 3. Okay, now we invert it again. We put the A up top. It is still a F chord. It is still an F chord. So it's still a 1 chord, because we know that if we were to rearrange these so that they're in snowman position or in skips position, it would still have F as the root. But at the moment, C is in the bass. Even though it's in treble clef, C is still the bass note here, right there. It's the bass note in this voicing. And so what are the intervals? Well, that's a 4th, which you know, and that's a 6th. And that's all there is to it. It's a 1, 6, 4. Now, as you'll observe as we go along, we don't really use second inversion triads all that much. Well, you do, but not yet. Okay, now let's look at the 7th chords. Okay, and let's go with a C 7 chord. That's going to be in the key of C major, and let's look at the C. Actually, you know what? Let's stay in B flat. We'll stay in F. Sorry. Okay, that's an F now. Okay, and now we're going to have a 5 chord. Okay, which is the C chord. Now, if I just left that blank, if I didn't put a figure here, we would assume that it's a triad, because it is. And we would assume that it's a triad in root position. And root position is where the root is in the bass. Okay, root position is where the root is in the bass. So that's root position. Now I'm going to do the same thing now. C, E, G, B flat. And now it's a 5, but what's the figure? Well, there's a 3. There's a 5th. And there's a 7. So we could very accurately say that it's a 5, 7, 5, 3 chord. Okay? Because the figure tells you the intervals above the bass. Above the bass, not above the root, above the bass, because the root and the bass are not the same. Okay, so we can, since we're used to getting rid of 5-3, we get rid of the 5-3 and just call this a 5-7 chord. I'm going to take the C, raise it up an octave, put it up top, and now I have this inversion. What are the figures I'm going to write? It's a 3, a 5, and now a 6. It's a 6, 5, 3, because I'm writing the figures from highest to lowest always. And over time, we get rid of the 3. But it's still accurate to say 6, 5, 3. Okay? So, you can memorize these. You can think to yourself, oh, 5, 7 is root position. And 5, 6, 5 is first inversion. And that would be totally accurate. However, or in addition, you can always remember to count the intervals above the bass note. So now, continuing with this C dominant 7th chord, the 5 chord in the key of F, I'm going to take this E and put it up top. Okay, still all the same notes. It's still a 5 chord because the C is the bass. And there's a 3rd, there's a 4th, and there is a 6. So it's a 6, 4, 3 chord. Now it just happens that in this instance, we often get rid of the 6 and just call it a 5, 4, 3. How do they choose which ones to get rid of? I don't know. But you can always call it a 6, 4, 3. Finally, if I take this G and I put it up an octave and I build my dominant 7th chord like this, and now it's still a 5 chord, and it is got the intervals. Well, what's from C to B flat is a 2, from B flat to E is a 4, and from B flat to G is a 6. So it's a 6, 4, 2, or a 5, 4, 2. I wish there was another way to call this other than numbers, but this is where we are. Okay, I hope this helps. And always, if you have a question, shoot me an email and I will try to either explain it this way or we can set up a time to talk one-on-one.